scene. So today's topic is going to be about growing up as an Asian guy in California, and this is, the year 2012 now when you're watching this, what that was like for each of us. So, Hunter, what was it like, you're in high school, and I mean, there's probably definitely a difference in the lifestyle. I mean, even when you got home, right? Like
definitely. Even in high school, I grew up in a relatively, I would say it was more Caucasian community in the beginning, and then, as I got older, the Asians started to just overrun the city. But when I was in high school, there's definitely, felt like there was a hierarchy. I mean, at least I felt like that it really existed at school. There was, of course, like the Caucasians, the more popular kids on the top, and then the African American guys, and then Hispanic guys, and then you're at the bottom of the dating totem pole with Asian guys. That's how I felt like my high school was, and I think that a lot of
you went to a regular high school.
I went to a public
high school. Okay, and so even though there were cool Asian guys, I mean, on the sort of like the tier of like I hate to say it, but like races, then there's always there's always racism. So always going to exist. For the sake of this video, we're not going to go into that whole thing about prejudice and racism. But unfortunately,
let's just all accept the fact that it exists.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to ignore. It does exist, and Anyway, so there was always kind of that feeling of how you're saying of how
there's a hierarchy.
There's a hierarchy, and especially in terms of how when women looked at the races, right? Like it was like, oh, you're dating a white guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like when I would talk to my Asian girlfriends, they would always look at the white guys like, oh man, that guy's hot. I want to date that guy. I want to date that guy. Never once did I ever hear her, point at one of the Asian guys. Even like the guys on the basketball team, like, hey, I really want to date that guy. If it did happen, it was a lot less than the other way around. And then, the white friends that I have, I rarely heard things like, hey, I want to date that Asian guy who's good, man. It didn't turn out like that.
The white female friends that you had. They usually, you're right. I think it has a lot to do with the fact too that because we live in California, like the whole, like when you think of, when these girls, especially in high school, I think when you think of a hot guy, I used to think that all the white girls wanted Abercrombie models. Like
tall, white,
quarterback, ripped,
like
always at the beach and always shirtless and black and white. Right?
Hollister guys.
Hollister dudes, with the whole A&F and stuff. But I think for me, it was like, this is going to sound weird, but I think Asian people were really cliquey.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. And I don't know if it's because of, I don't know, just, what you know, and you're kind of
stick to what you
familiar, and the unknown's kind of fearful. I don't know, but as a high school student, I'd say though that even though there were, because I went to a smaller high school, it was kind of like a public, private, college preparatory high school, and even though everybody knew each other, we had a very small class, maybe about less than 200 people in our class, and even though there were these really pretty white girls that, looking back now, I could have dated, right? And they were so nice to me, but whenever they talked to me, I was just so why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? What are you? You're just being nice, right? You're just being courteous, and I just looking back now, I didn't. Yeah, I think even if I did end up dating any one of those girls, I probably would have messed it up because I was so.
Self-conscious.
That view right there would have it probably would have screwed everything up. So, and we excelled, or we were known for excelling in academics, right? So, and I think, what are the stereotypes that you were talking about last time that?
There's countless of stereotypes. What are all the stereotypes of being Asian? You can't drive, your house smells, small penis.
Oh, that's the.
You're good at math. You play the piano.
Pandas. Koalas.
Yeah.
China. Everyone's Chinese.
Everyone is Chinese. Yeah.
We happen to actually be
all
Chinese
to be. Yeah.
So are you Chinese? I actually happen to be Chinese. That was a good guess.
Racist. I mean, there's a limitless amount of stereotypes, but none of them, I don't think, are
ring true.
Well, I mean, no, some of them can be true. Yeah, you might be good at math, but I don't think that they're even the ones that are positive are not perceived as positive.
We got the kung fu fighting one. I think that's pretty cool. Although,
but not everybody knows that. I mean, I don't know that.
Everyone assumes that we have martial arts or something like that. Oh, you mean like that not everyone knows that we are good at fighting, or that?
No, everybody assumes it, but we're probably we're not.
And we're just like, yeah, it's just weird. And if you're watching this out there and you're an Asian guy, and if you actually know what
you probably know
martial arts.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you shy but no martial arts and
Shaolin monk kind of?
Yeah. Do you have 6 dots on your head? Is your name Krillin from Dragon Ball?
Oh yeah, I mean another one is everybody watches anime, shit like that. You all played StarCraft, Warcraft, what are the other ones?
Or tennis.
Yeah,
or badminton.
Play tennis or badminton. Yeah,
I think
that's what weak people.
Maybe I think that's an Asian thing. I think only us Asian people know that. That's like a thing we make fun of ourselves. I don't think.
No, I have a white friend, like one of my really close friends. Like, so you're pretty good at tennis, or you're like, you'll say that kind of stuff to me. Yeah.
The thing is, I remember one time, the epiphany that I had about. Because like growing up, like being an Asian guy, whenever I used to look at like women of other ethnicities, I would always think, why would they want to date me, right? Like what they would probably want to date is like that Abercrombie model, right? Which is like essentially if you live in California, like every single girl wants to date the Abercrombie model, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you said too, it's pretty rare that a woman would say, if she was an Asian, she would say, "Oh, look at that Asian guy, he's so hot," right? Like, "Oh wow." Totally want to, like, I think only Asian girls say that because that's what they grew up with. That's kind of like, and there's, I think there's a lot of psychology behind this too. Because when we grow up, the models that we have as parents, we often see them as like possible models for our partners. So I think the woman, like, even if she's half Asian and half white. If her dad happens to be Asian, she is more likely to see other Asian guys as attractive.
Right.
As opposed to if she had an Asian mom and a white dad, she might
date white guys.
More likely date white guys. Or if she was Asian, but she was adopted into I actually have a friend who was Asian, adopted into a white family, but she strictly only dates white guys. Because she grew up in a white family, that's all she knows, right? Like, she probably...
Yeah, no, actually, same thing. I know someone who's like that, only dates white guys. She was adopted. She was Korean or something like that, adopted into an Asian, white family, and strictly only dates white people.
Did you ever ask her, like, hey, do you realize that you are Asian?
No.
Do you realize...
No, because she kind of went around as if she
was white?
Was not Asian. The furthest she would kind of... separate herself.
Sorority girl style?
Yeah, I mean, definitely party girl, but she would try and separate from being Asian as much as possible. As if it was a bad thing that, she was actually Asian but raised by a white family.
Yeah, since when did being Asian become like a negative thing? Like who?
It's the beginning of time.
Like, who really like rejects being French? Like, I think almost people like embrace, I'm French, I'm Italian, like, but maybe it's the accent. I don't know. Maybe if we had cooler accents, English accents, right? If we sounded like, if we had like a British Asian accent, that would be cool.
That is cool,
right? Because if our Asian accents sounded British, because British accents are awesome, but Asian accents are just like
the most annoying thing in the world.
I know they're not so hot. Maybe that's like
not even. No.
You know what you want to do. Like, oh, how can I help you? Like, oh, hey, baby. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's not, I need to stop that. Okay. So, have you ever noticed in your lives, when just being Asian has been something that might have, maybe it's all in our heads, but I think even if you believe it, it becomes your reality, just like it became our reality when we were younger. And a lot of things have changed now. Like, we've since gotten out of that kind of mentality. and it's taken a lot of. We know a whole bunch of exercises that we can show you in future videos. We know a bunch of things that you can do, people that you can surround yourself, ways that you can talk to yourself, and things that you can try to actually get yourself out of that mentality. These are things that have worked for us and many of our friends. But I want you to ask yourself, how has being Asian affected you? And hopefully it doesn't become an excuse, because I think that's the worst, right? When we start saying stuff like, oh, I can't get Mexican girls, Hispanic girls, because I'm Asian. And that's just the way it is.
They don't like Asian guys.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Oh, they're not attracted to those types of guys.
You know, actually, one of the things that I think one of the ways that I got out of this was, okay, I'm gonna put myself out there right now, but so when I was in college, I started thinking about, well, what's a nationality, what's an ethnicity that I'm not really that into, like not into, but when I look at them, I don't automatically think like, wow, yeah, they're pretty attractive, right? Like, I think Latino people are pretty attractive. Maybe it's because I've been surrounded by white people, because we've been surrounded in white culture. I think I'm pretty used to them. What about and everyone's got their own, I think, ethnicity that they're more attracted to, and ethnicities that they're not really. And I think it's got a lot to do with exposure too. I don't think it's got a lot to do with the fact that that all all Indian people are naturally like I don't think there's a rule. All Asian people are naturally less attractive. No, I don't think there's a rule, right? But I think it just has to do with the different societies and cultures that we grew up in, and what we surround ourselves with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you grow up around more white people, or even media, the TV that you watch, most of them are going to be, white or what have you, and so that is the kind of stuff you idolize.
But don't you think it's weird that even though we grew up in a society with a lot of white people, we're just going to use white people because we live in California, it's easier. Yeah. Caucasian, be PC, but don't you think it's weird that we still ended up not really we almost even though we had a good amount of, why do you think that is? What? Right? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so what makes it different from, let's just say, because there's not that many African American people here, but would you say we're even further away from African American people than we are from Caucasian people? Right?
Probably.
Based on exposure?
Yeah, because I don't know as many African American people as I do Caucasian people.
That's true.
I was surrounded by much more Caucasian people.
I think it's first Asian for us, and then maybe
yeah, I know a bunch of Asians because that's what my family, everybody I grew up with, my family, friends, things like that.
And we're second generation, by the way. So our parents came here. They were born in another country. They came here, and then we were born here. So, but so the exercise that I used in my head to prove to myself, kind of on a logical level, was I'm naturally not that attracted to Indian women. Right, I'm just naturally, when I look at an Indian woman, I don't automatically think oh, what would it be like to have her as my girlfriend? I don't automatically think that. As opposed to an Asian girl, sometimes I think, oh, she's really pretty. I could totally imagine myself with her. Right, something like that when I was single. So I'm just not naturally that attracted to Indian women. So I was thinking about in my head, what if I was in class one day, I'm in college and I'm in class, and there was this really pretty Indian girl sitting 3 seats down from me. I'd probably look over and be like, oh, wow, she's really pretty, but I'm not really going to think anything of it because I normally don't go for Indian girls. Right? That's probably what happened to you too, right? Because knowing you for a long time, you're probably not. I don't hear you always talking about Indian girls, being oh, Indian girls are so that Indian girl is blah blah. Mm-hmm. Right? But let's just say there's one sitting 3 seats down from you, and she just happens to sit next to you, be like, oh, wow, she's really pretty. And let's just say 2 days, next time in class, she sits next to you, and she's like, hey, can you help me with the notes? I missed the lecture, blah blah blah. And she's talking to you. And then every day you guys start talking more and more and more. And she smiles at you. She asks you, hey, Hunter, how's your day? Oh, miles like that. And she starts talking to you. And you kind of get to know each other. And she sits closer and you guys are laughing together. And one day she comes in class and she tells you a joke. And she's kind of silly and funny. And her humor happens to match yours. Then I was thinking more and more about how okay. And then I could actually see myself she'd almost be somebody that I kind of know. I'm familiar with. And then maybe one day she's like, hey, you want to grab food after? And I'm not doing anything. I'd be like, yeah, she's pretty. I acknowledge the fact that she's pretty even though I don't go for Indian girls. It's leading down that path that if I think that I was thinking to myself, if if she was like started saying that she kind of likes me, she wants to hang out more, it might actually become a thing. Even though I'd never even thought about Indian women my entire life. But I was thinking like, yeah, this could possibly happen. So does it really have anything to do?
So maybe it's like we're talking about exposure, right?
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that in your hypothetical story that your background is you didn't really have that many Indian friends to begin with. So you actually knew nothing about them.
Right.
Therefore, you didn't really feel like you were attracted to them because there's nothing in common that you know of that you have. But, in the story, you meet the girl, you guys have lunch, you go to school together, what have you. And then there becomes that connection where it's, now I know you, now I'm more familiar with you, therefore I can be attracted to you. Right?
Yeah, sort of like that. Like she's fit into...
She's more familiar.
Yeah, like she's now fit into one of the categories of... And I think it's like the same way with a lot of parts of our lives, right? Like, I don't know, let's just take sports for one. A lot of guys play sports, right? Let's say basketball. Like, before we started playing basketball, we were like, oh, I don't really know how to play basketball. Then you start playing, maybe with your friend, you start playing little by little, then you start playing basketball. And then suddenly your friend goes, hey, let's shoot pool or play tennis, right? So, let's say play tennis. And you're like, I don't really play tennis, but maybe one day you have, cute girl goes, like, there's a reason to play tennis. For some reason, you end up playing tennis little by little. And then you end up starting playing tennis or pool or running, if you exercise or going to the gym. Like, it's all like this sequentially, like these little bits, pieces at a time. And I think and then I was thinking about it, if could be true for me, right? Even though I'm not racist or anything, like I've never been exposed to Indian girls or Indian people. If this could be true for me, what's to say that it wouldn't be true for a white girl or like a Hispanic girl or any other nationality, black girl, right? If I were that Indian girl, and she were me, like switch places, one day, I come to class and, I'm just the normal Asian dude to her because, right? Because in her head, she's got this model of what she believes,
right.
Which I have a model of what I believe that I would date, which is like, to be stereotypical, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if it was an Asian girl, I have my model, she has her model, and we get to know each other, and we're both breaking each other's barriers. Mm-hmm. Hence, our website.
Breaking Asian Barriers.
Yeah, breakasianbarrier.com. And I think that if this is possible, which is totally possible for me, then it kind of like shattered my whole...
belief?
Yeah, my negative belief, my whole negative frame. My limiting belief. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's very true because I have, a friend of mine who is Asian, but he's only attracted to a specific ethnicity, so say Hispanic. Yeah. But he's only attracted to them, and let's say for the most part, I don't know that many Hispanic and Asian couples, but he was able to make it happen because of the fact that is what he surrounded himself with. All of his friends are Hispanic, things like that. So when he was able to get, kind of surround himself with the type of people that he wanted to be with, let them get to know him, realize that he's not the stereotypical, like really good at math or has small penis or bad driver, all this stuff. Even though he might suck at driving, it doesn't matter. But for him, he was able to break that stereotype in their minds and was able to kind of take that into a relationship. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah. So for those of you guys watching at home, I hope you guys can all, we're going to give you now like something maybe you can try at home and something you can do that might be a good piece of advice that you can do right now. For me, I think that each one of us, if you're really feeling like being Asian has kind of limited you in some way, I'd really try to run through this exercise in your head because it really starts with, I believe, a belief. And I'm not saying, once you believe it, everything's going to change for you. Of course, after I started like realizing that it was all belief in my head that I would date, for example, an Indian girl, for the sake of this metaphor. I'm not saying that it would all of a sudden turn around. Like there's a whole huge number of steps after. But I think it starts with that belief and that kind of like frame, idea, mental shift.
Yeah.
So I really like, try to imagine yourself, I don't know, in class, at work, if you happen to bump into this ethnicity that, or somebody that you would never, if it could be possible for you, maybe it could be possible for that other person too, right? So take some time, 5-10 minutes, and run through it in your head. Try to imagine it, and I think it'll be that first step in transforming the way you think. Okay. What do you, Hunter? You have any?
I mean, I think it's the same, pretty much on the same lines. I think in a different way to look at it is, say, you want to date somebody outside of your ethnicity. So you're, say, hypothetically, you're Chinese like me, and I want to try and date, Hispanic. So I will go and see, kind of go to the mall, walk around and see, do you see couples that are Hispanic and Asian? Why is it possible? How did that happen? Because if it's possible for them, it's very possible for you, right? It can happen. And I think that is the same thing with the belief, the limiting belief. Just because, like, sometimes you have to see it in order to believe it. So if you happen to see a couple like that, then, who's to say you can't have it either?
I like that one. So there you have it. We're yin and yang. You're watching Break Asian Barrier videos. If you like, please thumbs up this video, subscribe. Feel free to leave your questions and comments below, and visit our website at www.breakasianbarrier.com. Feel free to email us. And thanks again for watching. Tune in next time for next topics on whatever it is that you might be wondering. We'll see you guys next week. All right, Ben.
That one's long. That one is...
Hey guys, this is Leo.
And I'm Hunter.
And we're yin
and yang.
Yin
and yang.
Yin and yang.
Is that right?
Yeah. Should I say it? I'll say it.
The whole thing?
I'll just say yin and yang.
Yeah, let's not do the...
Yeah. Okay, you just do the Hunter part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because too much of the...
Okay.
And we're the wing girls.
We're the wing girls. Okay.